I'm Teresa Weirs. I was Teresa DeHaan, and born January 2, 1926, in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I came to Celeryville. My first time was I was 16. No, I should say 15. So I came here to visit really with Uncle Henry's dad and mom, and their sister, Aunt Marge. We were pen pals. When I was in Celeryville, I was 16, and Uncle Henry would have been 21.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I thought, no. And he was a nice man, but I never thought any farther than that. But anyway, Aunt Marge sent me Uncle Henry's address during the war, because we girls were encouraged to write soldiers. I wrote Uncle Henry. He got my letter somewhere in, I don't know if it was the Battle of the Bulge. He answered my letter, and that is how I got here. And you know, when I came the first time, I thought that's one place I would love to live someday. And I prayed that for a few years. I could live in Celeryville, because I loved it then and I love it today. The first time I came here, I just fell in love with this little village. We were married the fall of 1946. When he got home, he came to Grand Rapids. He was going to Silver Lake with his dad and mother. I was working in the dime store at the time, but that was our first date, that first night. We went to stop for a hot dog at A&W Root Beer on Madison Square. And that was our beginning, being together. I knew Uncle Henry before, but I thought Uncle Cor was kind of cute. I figured Uncle Henry was too much older than Uncle Cor was my age. But anyway, we did write for, well, Uncle Henry was in the Army 3.5 years, 3 years overseas in all the fighting. Battle of the Bulge and landing in D-Day and all the other wars. So he had really seen a lot. But there were times when he would be very quiet, and I just figured those are times that he was thinking about the war, what he had gone through. He often mentioned in his letters Psalm 46, verse 1, God is our refuge. Uncle Henry was reported missing for over a weekend. And it turned out that his sergeant, or one of his upper men above him, he had done something against Uncle Henry, and he reported him missing. It was a terrible thing to do with the family, you know, at home. Yeah, I'm sure that was a very sad weekend when Uncle Henry was missing. When I moved here, it was a paved road through Celeryville. You've probably seen pictures when it was a gravel road.
Yeah.
But it was a paved road. Well, the house back here, that little white house, that stood here when we were married. That was our first home. Uncle Henry always wanted to be on the main road. We built this house in 1940. I think we moved in 1952. And I thought it was just wonderful. Uncle Henry wanted to be right next to Uncle Frank, so we built right next to they built before we did. Uncle Henry was close to his brother, and that's what, those two were always together. Yeah, it was Uncle Henry, Uncle Frank, Corwin, Uncle Norm, and Uncle Eddie. And then Aunt Joyce was the youngest. Aunt Marge, I think she came after Uncle Frank. All the Celeryville boys played, they had a baseball team. They'd go around to different little towns around and play baseball, and we ladies always went along. That was our entertainment, really. Many times after the game, we would go up to the airport here in Willard, and there was a restaurant there. And the boss's wife would fix steak for us. And then we'd come home. I never even dreamed of leaving Celeryville, really. Of course, now all the ladies drive. I did drive at that time. I thought, no, I just could picture all kinds of accidents. Finally, I thought, no, I'm gonna learn how to drive. I went, had my eyes checked by an old eye doctor. He said, your eyes are making you nervous. He said, I'm going to prescribe glasses for you. And from then on, I was wonderful. I used to take the boys, Jim and Ed, in a stroller every afternoon. Uncle Henry would be planting celery on the muck. That's the way the three of us went to see Uncle Henry. I would say they were very young, maybe, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. Well, when they played Little League baseball, Uncle Roger Mall had a team of all the boys about the age of our boys. And they would ask Uncle Henry, they'd say, Dad, we have a ball game tonight. Do we have to work this afternoon? Yep. Well, once in a while, Uncle Henry would say, no, you can have the whole afternoon off. That really made their day. We would have trucks that would go to Cleveland every day like they do now in the summer. At that time, we grew potatoes. I imagine Dad has talked about muck potatoes, which we still think they're the best. But our boys made their first trip to Cleveland with a truck. I think they were 16 years old. How I worried about those boys. And now, Uncle Jim was just 70, and Uncle Ed is 69. And it's just so hard to me to believe that their grandpa, they have grandchildren now. And it seemed like just yesterday, that all this happened. I just loved every minute of it. If people would ever say, did you ever regret moving? I said, oh no, never. I still love Grand Rapids, but no, this is home now.